Well, Tara. Well, Tara, thank you so much for being here with me on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I'm truly excited to have you here. I think the first time you and I met, you kind of started talking about a very interesting topic, which a lot of people are maybe diving into these days. Before we dive into that, why don't you just share a little bit about who you are and introduce yourself?
Well, thank you very much for having me on the podcast, Henrietta. It's lovely to see you again. So I'm Tara Mehmet, and I help people with their health and well-being through a system called Pranic Healing, which is a mixture of ancient energy healing techniques combined with modern science, and it can help with every aspect of your life, whether it's your physical or psychological health, your finances, your relationships, or your spirituality.
My goodness. And that's why I said, when you said pranic healing the first time, I was like, what healing? Never heard about this in my life. And that's why I thought, oh my gosh, after our conversation, I have to get you on the podcast because so many people would be intrigued to hear more about what you got to share. Before we dive into all of the juicy stuff, I want to hear a little bit about your story. How did you get started? How did you, come part of or getting to learn and know more about pranic healing? And how did that kind of evolve and take you in your life where you are now?
Well, my background is completely different to the work that I do now. I worked in the music industry for many, many years, and I ran a management company where I looked after superstar DJs, so electronic artists and superstar DJs that traveled all over the world and sold out stadiums, and I had this very exciting life and very glamorous life, and people used to look in and probably be quite envious of my life, but in truth I was really, really struggling, and my stress and anxiety levels were through the roof. I felt I was full of self-doubt, even though I ran that business successfully for many, many years. I had the whole imposter syndrome going on. And I had very little inner peace, happiness, contentment in my life. I was exhausted a lot of the time. I got ill a lot of the time. I wasn't living a healthy lifestyle. And I tried loads of different things to get myself better and get myself up. From reading every single self-help book that was going, to trying an array of complementary therapies, to psychotherapy, all sorts of things. But it was only when I discovered pranic healing that my life started to change very, very dramatically, very, very quickly. So one of my best friends had said, oh, go and see this guy called Les Flitcroft. He works with energy. He doesn't even touch you. But he might be able to help you. So I thought, well, do you know what? I'm desperate. I'll try anything. It sounded a bit strange to me, but I went along, and as they say, the rest is history. I had 3 sessions with Les. On the first session I went to him with, I was feeling depressed. I felt, the stress and anxiety were overtaking, but then the whole list came out. And one of the main incredible results I got was I'd suffered from an eating disorder for over 20 years. Now, it was something that I thought that would always be with me, that I would always manage. But after 3 sessions with him, it completely went. And that was over 10 years ago. And when I say when, it completely went. I've not had any repercussions at all. So then I thought, right, there's something in this. This is different to anything I've experienced. I then introduced my dad, who was at the time suffering from high blood pressure, 3 lots of heart surgery, irregular heartbeats. He couldn't even walk for 50 yards without nearly keeling over. He'd always been a very, very healthy man, but he developed these heart conditions. So again, I said, look, go and see Les. He might be able to do something for you. Keep an open mind. All you need to do is sit there for 45 minutes. He looked at me as if I'd gone slightly mad, suggesting he was going to go and see some guy. He didn't even touch him, and he was going to, heal him. But lo and behold, he sorted my dad out in a few sessions. So then my dad isn't, now that was again over 10 years ago. So now if anything goes wrong with my dad or the family, they come knocking on my door. So he got these incredible results. So I never thought I'd be doing this as a profession, but we encourage everyone to do a 2-day course, which is a level 1 pranic healing self-development course. It's not for people who want to necessarily become a healer. It's people who want to learn the techniques so that they can apply them to themselves, because everything you can self-heal when you learn about the science of energy. So I did the 2-day course, was blown away by it, went back to my old job. About a year later, did a few more courses, got really into it, and then ended up selling my business. And now this is what I do full time. So I see people one-to-one, but I also teach the techniques so people can help themselves. And now some of my music industry people come and see me for treatments.
Oh my
So
God,
that's
it
the
is.
background, yeah.
It's such a lovely story. And I think, for a lot of people, because you were talking about pranic healing and energy healing, a lot of people go like, hold on a minute, seeing is believing. And you were one of those people, in a sense, where you're like, seeing is believing. And when you experience it, you're like, okay, there's definitely something here. And the same for your dad. But then I think, the beautiful story behind it is as well, even though you thought, oh, this is great, I want to learn more about it in order to apply it to myself, you went back to your job or to your business and you were like, this is still not fulfilling me. I found something now that is fulfilling me and I want to go and pursue that. And here you are. I mean, how many years on, you're having your own business, you're helping so many people, and your eyes just light up as soon as you talk about it. So I can see it's definitely a passion of yours. So thank you so much for sharing your story. But I think, for a lot of people here, I wanted to mention that they would go like, hold on a minute, seeing is believing, what is all of this about? So let's dive into this and let's talk about pranic healing. I mean, what is pranic healing really?
So pranic healing pranic or pranic comes from the Sanskrit word for energy or for life force energy, prana. So if you've done yoga, you might have heard of prana. Now the Chinese call it chi. So you might have heard of Tai Chi, Qigong. The Japanese call it ki. You may have heard of Aikido, Reiki. In Polynesian, they call it mana. In Greek, they call it nuama. So there's a universal understanding of this life force energy, but as you said, because most people can't see it, they tend to dismiss it, and but it affects us in so many ways. And I always say to people, look, just because you can't see something doesn't mean to say it doesn't exist. And in fact, it's what we can't see in life that affects us most in life. If you think about our thoughts and our emotions, can't see them, how big an impact do they have in your life? And I would say most people feel energy, even though they can't articulate what they're actually feeling or sensing. If I use an analogy like, going into a room and feeling an atmosphere or feeling a vibe of a party, what are you actually feeling? What are you picking up on? It's not the walls in the building that create the atmosphere. It's what the individuals are radiating in terms of an energy field. So science is starting to catch up. They are recognizing that we're not just this physical body. We actually have an energy system or an energy field that surrounds our physical system, and they're calling it the bioplasmic body. And depending on predominantly what our mind is creating will determine the quality of this energy field, which is really blueprint of our physical body and our psychological body. So if you heal the blueprint, you can start to heal yourself. There's two principles in pranic healing. The first principle is the body can heal itself. It has an innate intelligence in order to heal itself. The integrating factor of this is this life force energy. So we all need life force energy. It's like gravity. You don't have to be able to see it or believe it. It really does exist. And there are more and more studies coming out, and science will catch up, because if you think about science is fluid, isn't it? What we know now, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, we didn't understand electricity, but we didn't have the technology to harness it and to use it. So things are starting to change, and we're even doing research projects now on pranic healing in leading hospitals in the UK. So it's only a matter of time before it becomes more scientifically validated.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? The reason why I wanted to bring you here on the podcast is because I'm a huge believer in the energy fields, in energy. I mean, everything here is energy. This pen is energy, it's just in a different form. So everything in life is energy. And I've tapped into this a lot more towards last year and the beginning of this year. And I've seen a huge and significant impact it has made for me personally, realizing that there are these kind of energy fields, and how you use your energy is very much about what you get in return. So what you give is what you get in a sense.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's one of those things where you're like, seeing is believing. And it has taken me some time in order to really realize that there's a lot more out there than just, like you said, our physical body. there's so much more to its energy.
Absolutely. And I think, you like you said, it's only really through our own experience that we really know the truths. So with people, a lot of people come to see me one-to-one, they come to sit in front of me, so they're open enough to get the benefits. But most people are skeptical. If you can't see something, of course you're going to be skeptical, but it doesn't mean to say they're still not going to get the results. So I always say, and in fact, one of the first things we learned in the level 1 Pranic Healing course, which the founder teaches, is you don't have to believe any of this, anything, don't go through life believing things blindly. Always keep an open mind, but keep a discerning mind, but experiment, analyze, use the techniques. If the techniques then work, then you draw your conclusions, which is a sensible way to live life. Exactly. So don't close yourself off, because there is so much more for us to learn. So with me, it was always, all right, I had the results myself, but it was only when I really started using not just the healing techniques, but the meditation practices and the breathing techniques, and saw how it was impacting my life on many, many ways, that I thought, now I wouldn't be without it, because I can see the difference, and I see my students, and I see how many people are, using the techniques and really changing their energy system and living a much, much better life. Because you're right, if you have a clean, clear, beautiful, radiant, positive energy, like qualities attract, quantum physics, you will start to attract the right people, the right jobs, the right life that we all deserve. But you've got to do a bit of work to clean it up. And Pranic Healing gives you very, very simple, practical tools that you can learn in 2 days, where you can apply them and get the results quicker than anything that I've experienced before.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so excited. Now, you did mention the founder master, and I'm going to try and say his name. Okay, bear with me, people. Chua Kok Sui. Did I say that right?
Yes. Yeah, very good. Chinese Filipino in origin. Incredible man, incredible soul. But he was Chinese Filipino. He was a scientist. His background was he was a chemical engineer by profession. He was from a multi-faith background, but he devoted all of his life into studying esoteric teaching, so inner teachings, so the inner teachings of different faiths, cultures, religions, healing modalities. He was a master of energy, and he looked at our lives, modern life, and the difficulties and the suffering that we go through in our lives in every aspect, and he put all this huge wealth of information into this very clear, concise package called Pranic Healing and Arhatic Yoga, which is more of the spiritual angle. So we can all literally learn simple techniques, open a book, and follow a recipe style protocol for high blood pressure, depression, anxiety, whatever it might be. Or we can use certain techniques to improve our relationships, or even, materialize what we want in life through create something called Kriya Shakti, which is all about materialization and manifesting what you want. But it's a science. It's very systematic in its approach. It was a tried and tested system over 30 years. So it's different to other healing modalities, because it really is very, very systematic. And once you learn the hidden laws of nature, it all makes sense. I mean, I'm not, I'm quite a grounded person. I'm quite a rational person. I've got a business background. I needed something. I needed something that made sense to me. So I didn't need someone to say, well, just do that because that will work. I wanted to know the why and the how. So I think that's why it's attracting so many people now, so many professional people, because even doctors and nurses are using it now, and all sorts of different people. Well, I had a class recently where I had a lawyer, a painter and decorator, a mum. Because people need some tools, they need solutions, they need some help. But Pranic Healing gives you this. It's a very clever system, because it's very, very simple and easy, and easy to apply for everyone.
Yeah, and I think that's also the good thing with what the founder master did, is really getting it together in such a way that's easy for people to digest, but also to apply themselves. And it's not like this big hidden secret that is just only I can do this, and only I can use this, and only a special selected people can use this. Anybody can use this. And I think this is what makes it so valuable, because people are going out there, people are looking for solutions, And if they find something like pranic healing that could help them and it's easy to apply, to digest, why not? I mean,
absolutely. And I think that's a really, really valid point, because, you know, some people think, oh, you need this special gift to be able to heal, to be able to do. We've all got the ability. We've all got the ability to do it if we want to help ourselves and others, and we're willing to follow very simple instructions and apply the techniques. Some people say, well, I've done pranic healing. I said, yeah, but actually, have you used it? I say to all my students, right, now the main thing here is put into practice what you've learned, because so many people know a lot of things. They have a huge amount of knowledge, but unless they apply that knowledge, your life doesn't change. And with anything, you know, to master something, you need to practice it. But it's fairly simple, really. If you learn these techniques, it's not like, you can still run a business, run a family, run everything, and you don't have to go to the Himalayas and go into a cave for 2 weeks to get to get what you need. But yeah, it is all about the practice. It's about understanding something, remembering it, practicing it, and only then will you master it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you is, because we spoke a little bit about pranic healing, and one of the things that we mentioned a lot there was energy. Mm-hmm. And I know people think about energy, blah, 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 and they go like, yeah, I think I know what it is, but people don't always understand it.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about energy. And I think the other thing you mentioned there is, what is the energy body, basically? If you can just kind of evolve a little around that, I think people might have a better perspective as well as to where we're heading.
That's fine. Yeah. So we have our physical body that we can see and we can touch, but we also have an invisible physical body that most people can't see and can't touch. Scientists are calling it the bioplasmic system. In ancient times, they would have referred to it as an aura. We call it the energy body in pranic healing, and it's made up. We have an energetic anatomy, so it's made up of energy centers or chakras. You might have heard of chakras. Yes. Or energy centers. So these are sort of energy points or power plants, power stations that draw in energy from our surroundings. So when I talk energy, I'm saying it's the same as chi, ki, prana. So these sources of energy come from the sun in the form of solar prana, ground prana, air prana, and also a very high frequency of divine or spiritual energy comes in. So we're getting this energy, we're absorbing it into our system through the chakras, which are like spinning discs, if you like, or oscillating discs. So this energy is drawn in by the energy centers of chakras, and then that then facilitates the chemical reactions within our body for our body to heal, to regenerate, for the cells to repopulate. So this is happening all of the time. The chakras then spin anti-clockwise and they expel any used up energy. So we need this energy, if you like, is the catalyst for all the chemical reactions to take place on a cellular level. Because we talked about briefly, the body has its own innate intelligence to heal under normal circumstances. And we know so much about the functions of the body and the cells and the systems. However, we don't know how the cells know what to do and when and in what quantity. So this is just sort of taken for granted. But actually, is there a governing force? And it's really to do with these ancient techniques and the chakras. But I mean, it's a big subject. Yeah. But if you just think that this energy system is constantly absorbing energy, chemical reactions take place, and then expelling used up energy out of the system. If your energy field or energy system is congested, which is mainly through stress, negative thoughts, emotions, not just from now, but from your lifetime, that creates blockages or congestion, and then an ache or a pain can appear in the body, or a psychological problem. For example, a lot of people have heard of the solar plexus. I don't know if you've heard of the solar plexus chakra. We have a front and a back solar plexus. So on a physical level, that draws energy in and feeds the gastro system. On a psychological level, it's where we hold a lot of our lower emotions. So when we feel nervous, anxious, upset, stressed, angry, a lot of the time we feel it in that pit of the stomach, because the mind is producing particles of energy that sit in that particular energy center. And then over time, your bowels might go one way or the other, because you're not getting the right quantity of energy prana into the system for the right chemical reactions to take place. So that's what's going on. And if you think about our body on a scientific level, we're electrical in nature. You know that we know if you go for a brain scan, you know that the thoughts and the emotions that pass through the synapses of the brain are electrical impulses. They're electrical in nature. We also know through science that electricity, or electrical energy and electricity, can't be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred or transmuted or upgraded or downgraded. So if you think about it logically, you've got all these electrical impulses coming out of the brain through the synapses. They're affecting your nervous system, but where's that energy going? It's either it's actually sitting in pockets of your energy field. If your emotions are positive, thoughts are positive, they're very high frequency, you still have a nice clean, clear energy field, so you can absorb the prana. If they're lower frequency, stress, anger, fear, etc., then they create almost like dark clouds of matter that sit on the energy field. So not only does it cause a resistance in the life force that you get into the system, so you can feel weighed down, you can feel tired, you can feel blocked and just stuck. It also impairs your view of life, because it's like you're looking out of a windscreen that is full of bugs and mud and everything. You can't see the wood for the trees because it's full of all this stuff, which is mainly thoughts and emotions that are generated from the conditioning of your past. So if you can start to clean the windscreen, no resistance, more energy, more vital energy, you feel great, the chemical reactions take place in the right way, and also you can see really the truths in life. So life's still life, but you look at it from a more rational perspective.
Yeah.
Does that make sense in a sort of nutshell?
Honestly, it's a beautiful explanation, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because as we're talking, and people who already know some of these things, we're like, yeah, I get it, but some people might be listening to this and going, this is the first time I'm hearing about pranic healing, and you're talking all about this energy. What the heck are you on about?
Of course, yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of dissect it a little bit so people can understand it a little bit more, but also not just from a spiritual level, but also on a scientific level as well. And I think this is what people kind of want, because like I said, seeing is believing. They want the scientific element in it as well. Now, as I'm saying, a lot of people would listen to this and go, okay, I can hear what you're saying. I understand what pranic healing is, and I understand energy is very much involved, but how can pranic healing help me? So from your point of view, what do you think pranic healing would most likely be used for, and how can that help people?
That's a big question, because it can help you in every single aspect of your life. So if we take, for example, your physical health. So if you learn the techniques, you could help to heal yourself of backache, digestive problems, migraine headaches, up to more serious conditions. We can't say you can heal. You can help alleviate the suffering of very serious conditions like cancer, heart disease, etc. So you would come away learning techniques that you can literally open a book. I haven't got the book in front of me, but you literally have, it's a protocol for every different condition, because what Master Choa realized or studied was that he noticed that every single condition of the body has a specific energy pattern. So if you can reverse the energy pattern by doing techniques through pranic healing, you can reverse the condition of the body. Although we're not alternative, we are complementary, so we work alongside orthodox medicine. Okay, so you don't have one or the other, you do both as a complement. It's an integrated approach. So that's on the physical side. Then on the psychological side, you learn how to heal yourself and others of addictions, depression, anxiety, OCD, anger, all the different. And it's so incredible, because I had years of psychotherapy, and I understood why I was behaving in the way I was behaving, intellectually understood it all. However, I couldn't stop the pattern. I couldn't seem to redirect. And even though my willpower wasn't enough to be able to do that and to sort of stop myself. But when you remove the energy blockages that have created that emotion in the past, whether they sit in certain energy centers, you'd be amazed at how things just change very, very easily. And it's not about your willpower, because you're removing that blockage. So I think from my understanding, it's the only psychotherapy. So it's pranic psychotherapy is the only approach that you can literally extract those core emotions out of the mind, out of the system, in order to move forward very, very quickly. So that's on the psychological level. Then there's relationships. So, you know, what you project, what you give, what you receive. So if you start to clean, you know, a lot of us are blaming everyone else for how, you know, for everyone else, you know, what do they say about the fingers? There's one finger pointing towards one person and three fingers pointing backwards. So it helps you to really look at yourself, first of all. And then you'll be amazed at how your relationships start to fall into place, because you're projecting a different type of energy, and also you're understanding and developing more compassion towards other people. So there's a particular meditation as part of the system called the meditation on twin hearts, which is one of the few that's been scientifically proven. If you practice it regularly, it reduces stress and anxiety, but it helps you to be more compassionate, loving, understanding, patient, tolerant, all the stuff, all the higher emotions we're after. So you know, it can affect your relationships in a positive way. You know, we talked about career, finances. I don't know, maybe you've heard of the Secret. Have you heard of the Secret? You know, it's all about the laws of attraction.
Oh yes.
Well, Kriya Shakti is part of the teachings, and it's all about the laws of attraction and manifestation. But someone told me it was like the Secret on steroids, because you learn about the laws of karma, cause and effect. You learn about how, you know, not to sabotage your thoughts in order to get to create that reality, which, yeah, there's some limitations in the Secret. So, you know, there's that angle, and then there's the spiritual side of the teachings, which I like the Amazon jungle. You'll never quite get to the bottom of it. It's just ongoing. But, you know, people say, well, you know, I'm not religious, I'm not this, you know, but if you think about really what we're all spiritual beings, you know, we're all spiritual beings, we're all on a journey. A true spiritual aspirant is someone who's intelligent, loving, and dynamic. So those three aspects. So we're all, you know, you believe it, or, you know, you think you are or you're not, but we're all on a journey of evolution. So there's Hatha yoga, which is part of this body of teachings, which is a blend of the 7 true yogas from around the world. It's not about the Hatha yoga and the postures. It's more about a connection to who you truly are, which is much more than this physical body. So the teachings are, again, quite deep, but very practical, and they're all taught in a very simple, you know, light-hearted way, really. You know, Master Joe was a very funny man. My teacher, Les Flitcroft, is the instructor of is the director of the Institute of Inner Studies. Again, very grounded, you know, very practical. My teacher, Les, was an aircraft engineer. It attracts a lot of engineers, so very rational, logical thinkers. And Les is an incredible teacher, but he paralyzed his left arm in a terrible sporting injury. They said he'd never use his left arm. He happened to be a left-handed aircraft engineer, and he got the full use of his arm back. And now he does this full time. But yeah, so there's lots of incredible stories. But yeah, and then it sort of hits on the spiritual aspect of life as well. So it really covers everything.
Oh my goodness. No, it's so interesting. And as you're saying that, I can just see how it can help a lot of people. And I think if anybody was questioning, is like, really? They can honestly see that it is a different kind of way of looking at it. And I think, you know, like you were saying, there's a lot of people out there looking for options. I've tried this and this didn't work, and I've tried this and I've tried this. So they're already looking for something that is a little bit more, can I say, a level up, almost something that they're just saying, I'm desperate, I'll try anything almost. And if this is one of those things where they're just listening to us talking about this and going, this is what I've been looking for, this is what I need to do, I need to look into this, you know, this is where I get so excited, because I'm saying to people, give it a go. You never know unless you try.
Absolutely. And it just does tick all the boxes. You know, I think you're right, there's so many people searching, there's so many people searching for that, you know, that inner peace, or that just something. But this for me covered everything. You know, it ticked all the boxes. And, you know, whether it's, you know, doing a doing a course learning about the science of manifestation, to learning about, the power of forgiveness, to the laws of karma, to, healing someone. I mean, it really is an incredible body of teachings. Nothing new, all based on very, very ancient teachings, but repackaged and reformulated so it's ready for our fast-paced lives.
Exactly. Now, there's one last question I want to ask you. You mentioned the twin heart meditations. You mentioned that earlier a little on, and I'm a little bit intrigued by that. Can you share a little bit more about what the twin heart meditation is?
So it's a very particular meditation. It's a guided meditation. So you don't have to just sit there and clear your mind, which is like most people say, well, how I can't meditate. There's too much going on in my mind. But this is guided. So it's you're following step by step. It's called it's part of the Pranic Healing and Hatha Yoga package, if you like. It's called the Twin Hearts because it focuses on two energy centers or chakras, the heart chakra, which is in the center of the chest, and also the crown, which is often known as the second heart. So the heart center here is to do with our higher emotions, refined emotions, love, compassion, understanding. So it activates the heart. Then that triggers the crown. It activates the crown, which is love on a wider scale. So it's when you have, you put on the TV and you see something awful happening on the other side of the world, and you want to help. It's divine love. It's a wider love. So if you trigger the heart and the crown is the access point or the entry point of a very high frequency of energy that comes into the system. Some people call it spiritual energy, divine energy, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a very high frequency healing energy. If you activate the crown, you get a downpouring of this purifying energy, which cleans up your energy field. So if you're feeling stressed or you've got all these lower emotions going on, it's like taking an etheric shower. So it cleans up your energy system, but at the same time, you're doing it through sending energy and love to the earth. So you're sending love to the earth, you're helping energetically the earth and people, every person, every being on the earth, and at the same time, you're cleaning yourself up. So it's kind of a win-win because, if you give, you receive. So you're getting that sort of circuit. But the Twin Hearts is wonderful. We run them for free. Pre-pandemic was 200 every month running throughout the UK. And we just, any money that we get, we give to a charity, or our charity, which is the MCKS, Master Choe Sui Charitable Foundation. We support many programs for feeding the homeless and all sorts of good causes. But we also run them online. So, I run one at between 12 and 12:30 on a Friday. You literally just log on, you register once and do the Twin Hearts. And I can honestly say, if people say, well, what are your, your top tips for happiness and contentment? I would not be without the Twin Hearts meditation. That meditation, 20 minutes alone, if you practice it a few times a week, at least, you can't just do it once. If you do it 3 or 4 times a week, within 6 months, you'll see massive changes. So it's a really, really beautiful, powerful meditation, very simple again.
I know, and I love meditation. I mean, I cannot go a day without meditation. And I've got this little kind of system for myself in the morning, get up, grab my coffee, and then my dog sits with me on the sofa. He loves it. Yeah. I know. And then I just sit and I just meditate for half an hour, depending on my schedule that day. But I am in such a good mood for the rest of the day. And then as soon as I go to bed that night, I literally meditate myself to sleep. And I have the best night's sleep every single time. So for me, it's become so part of my life that if I do skip a day, I feel it. Yeah. And everything just feels disrupted. And I feel my energy has changed. And I feel everything is just not the way it should be.
I think it's switching, isn't it? It's like it's trying to get people to understand, to really take it on board and make it part of their habit and their lifestyle. Like the gym, we know if we want to be fit, healthy, you've got to go to the gym a few times a week, let's be honest. And it's the same, you've got to keep your mind healthy. You've got to your mind's creating so much stuff, minimum 20,000 thoughts a day, minimum up to 80,000. Most are being created in the back of the mind. But you're constantly creating, and we've got so much stimulation, with all the media that we're watching. So unless you keep decluttering the mind or the computer, if you like, then what happens? It overloads and you can't think straight. Things slow down. So meditation it's a management tool for life. It's not just about being all floaty. Not at all. It's about creating a very sharp mind, good energy, being focused, being dynamic. It's not just about, sitting there saying, oh, I'm a tool. It's so much more than that, but it's getting people to embrace it enough to see the benefits, to practice it regularly and regularly, consistently, to then see the benefits. It took me a while, I was on off, but now I wouldn't be without it.
Exactly. Same here. I start a little bit experimenting with it and then go, oh, I can see something happening. Again, seeing is believing. Isn't that how funny how we all always like that? And then the more I started playing with it, the more I started getting better at it. And I was just like, I'm in love with it. Honestly, it's part of my daily ritual.
And then it becomes easy. You've created that habit, it becomes easy. But it's not just about sitting there and being still and relaxing. It's about how it impacts your life outside of that half an hour or hour. And if you could start to really see the changes, or for me it was like, I'd do it for a few weeks, feel great, and then maybe I didn't, then I stopped, and then I saw, oh, okay, things aren't, things are starting to become a little bit more unhinged now, so straight back on it, and then the penny drops, and then it's easy enough to put it into your day.
Yeah. So for anybody out there listening to this, I know you might have a lot of questions, you're feeling maybe a little bit excited, thinking, this is the thing I've been looking for. Or some of you are a little bit skeptical and thinking, oh, I'm intrigued, but I'm not quite sure. Should I give this a go? So I would like to let you know that Tara, why do I keep on saying Tara? I'm so sorry. Right. I would like to let you know that Tara is offering you a 10-minute free taster session. So basically, the links will be in my show notes. There's an email address there, and you can go and email Tara, get in touch with her, and she will obviously help you to schedule this 10-minute session with her, whereby you can just go and ask a couple of questions. But you tell me, Tara, what happens in those 10 minutes?
It's fine. I mean, so we do it online. So I see people face to face, and people might think, well, how on earth does that work? But again, give it a go and see if it works. So it'll be a Zoom call, and we can have a chat, and I block off sort of 20 minutes, and then I just do a 10-minute stress relief, energy boosting treatment. You sit there, you might see me with waving my hands around a bit, but all you need to do is sit, see how you feel before and after, and then draw your conclusions from that.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And I think you did a session like that with me as well, didn't you?
Oh, I did when we first met.
You did. Yes, I remember that. That was really cool, actually. I really enjoyed that. How
did you feel? Can you remember?
I do remember, because I remember I was a bit stressed coming on to the call with you, only because there was so much happening that morning. And then after our session, I mean, honestly, like you said, I just sat there for 10 minutes. And afterwards I was like, oh, I'm not stressed anymore. I feel actually quite, just moving and freeing, and it was just great, and the rest of my day was just amazing. So no, I can honestly vouch for those 10 minutes. People definitely go and have a look and book a session with Tara. But then also what we're going to do is Tara's social media links will be in the show notes, including her website. And if you would like to get in contact with her, if you have more questions, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to help you out with those questions. And I'm definitely intrigued. I mean, I want to learn a little bit more about pranic healing, because I'm just fascinated by the topic, and I just want to do more for myself, but also help those around me. So equally for those of you listening, and if you really enjoyed this episode and you want to learn more, get in touch with Tara. Tara, thank you so much. I really enjoyed having this conversation. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast.